Welcome back to the graveyard, everybody. My name is Mads, and today I want to tell you about someone that I now view as a local hero. And despite the fact that there are elements of this story that are incredibly difficult to talk about and incredibly difficult to hear and comprehend, I now have never been more proud in my life to be a Pennsylvanian, to live in this state, because there are people like this woman inhabiting the same state as me. Sarah P. Kitty incoming. So he's here at the perfect time since he's a registered emotional support animal. Hello, Pooh Bear. Before we even begin this story, I have to offer you the most massive trigger warning of any of my videos I've ever posted on here, because I can't even just say that the topic is essay. It's infinitely worse than that. There are people being essayed without knowledge of it. If you understand what I mean, you'll understand better as we go on. There are multiple victims, and normally I don't do this true crime style content on my platform because I think true crime has really lost its way over the years. I think it began as a way for people to try to bring light to certain crimes that didn't get as much attention as maybe like Dahmer and stuff and Gacy. But it slowly warped into a way for people to get famous very quickly online and to make a bunch of money. And I don't think that's what it ever should have been. I'm not expecting this video to even get a lot of views. The only reason that I am posting it is because as of right now, from what I can see, TikTok is really the only place this story is picking up any traction, and it is still ongoing. They are still finding victims of this man right now, and he has only just recently, like in the past couple of days, been booked in for what he did. And this is in Harrisburg. It's in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the capital of the state. So I want people to know so that hopefully if they find more victims or something, you're not as blindsided as some of the ones they've spoken to already have been. So while most people who talk about true crime cases begin by discussing the history of the perpetrator, I'm instead going to open by telling you all about the hero of our story, Darby. Darby is a picker in Pennsylvania, and if that's a new word for you, you're not really sure what I mean by that. A picker is basically somebody who goes to yard sales, estate sales, auctions from foreclosures, anywhere that a large amount of items from within a home are going to be gathered up and sold. And they do this very, very strategically. They don't just go to any old rummage sale. They specifically seek out ones that they believe could have very valuable antiques, and they have ways to determine the worth of these items pretty much right away. And obviously you get an eye for it after a certain amount of years and experience doing this. So I know some language around pickers can unfortunately coexist with less scrupulous people. I promise they're not scam artists. They're not bad people. They're honestly just going to different sales, picking up items and reselling them honestly. And if you're good at it, if you understand truly what the value of some of these antiques are, you can pay your rent off of it. You can make, a semi to full-time career out of just being a picker if you are willing to travel and seek out the places that have really good stuff. So up until this point, Darby was posting things like the fact that she's a picker and typical lifestyle content on her TikTok account, and she was a relatively small creator at the time. Not many people knew who she was at all. But that all changed in February when she posted a video from a hoarder house. She had seen that a hoarder house was now vacant. She got the clearances to be able to enter the home and take things out of it, sometimes alone and sometimes with the help of two of her friends. And she was looking through, finding all kinds of antiques. She was really excited because it looked like she was going to hit the jackpot at this place because of just the sheer volume of valuable items that had been left behind. And in her early videos, She believed that the mother who inhabited the home had passed away and the son had gone to jail, but she didn't know exactly what for. You can guess this stuff or look it up, but it's not always important to what a picker is doing. So she carries on looking through the stuff and she starts finding all these old VHS tapes. And these VHS tapes are labeled really mundane things like local news and stuff. It's not even like family videos or anything like that. It's very, very generic stuff, you know, like if you went into someone's house and found an old VHS in their basement that said episodes of Friends or something. And she thinks nothing of it. I mean, my mother has an old VHS tape of the news talking about the Challenger explosion right when it happened. And for as tragic as that event is, and as somber as it is to watch that part of the video, you can get a little bit of a breather and a chuckle in when you see that, like, the male newscaster's hair looks like Kramer from Seinfeld and stuff. So she's thinking, that's all this is going to be like. I'll get a little giggle or a cool peer into history. And guys, this is where that trigger warning is really going to take effect. If you cannot deal with this kind of topic, please exit the video now, because it's literally all we're going to talk about. This isn't some little one and done like 5-minute section. This is the topic of the video. I'm going to play you an audio recording that Darby took of herself. She took it after watching the video because she wanted to document her raw and real feelings on what she had just seen. And there's no word in any language in the world that can accurately express what you hear on this audio recording. So I'm going to play it now.
Obviously, I'm not going to show you any graphic imagery or video footage, but the audio you're about to hear contains my authentic, unfiltered reaction seconds after seeing this criminal evidence of brutal essay on found VHS. I use the voice memo app on my phone as a kind of personal audio diary, and I never intended on sharing this audio file, but I think it's important. If this is the first time you're seeing me on TikTok, you can pause and read here.
I just... Here, let me press play so it doesn't get lost. I just unknowingly, I had a feeling, an intuitive feeling, that it was something dark. It was because of where it was. It was in the bedroom. And this motherfucker labels it as something. I have to check and look what he wrote on the VHS. It's a homemade VHS. So he wrote a description on the VHS of what it might be. And I'm wondering how many of these fucking tapes are in my house that are labeled like local news, something boring. And it's a tape of where the woman is, she has no idea she's even being recorded. And I'm watching it, and I'm seeing the house. I see the same wallpaper. I see the colors of the paint on the walls, the weird colors of the paint on the walls, and I feel like I'm sitting on the couch where no one's sitting, watching him as he takes advantage of her, and it's torture to not. I know I could find her in a second. I know it would be pretty quick. I don't remember what this tape said on it. It said something boring and I put it in. He did a lot of first and last names. I know it would be quick to find her, and I can't reach out to her to know if she's okay or even alive. Because I can't interfere with the investigation. And of course, it's gonna go right to the police as soon as possible. And I have faith that they're gonna do their job, but it's also a fact of, like, I hope it's a woman. I hope it's a woman detective. Because you just don't understand. I'm watching this tape, and she can't hold her head up. It just flops. watching on the TV and he adjusts her head to focus back on the TV over and over and over again. And I just think to myself, you know, if you have been you wake up and there's men around you and you don't know what happened. There's something to it that you don't know what happened. And I just wish I could contact this woman and make sure she's okay. And make sure she feels seen and that it did happen and that she didn't deserve it and it was wrong. There's nothing in the world a human could do to deserve it. But she was so incapacitated, she was so fucked up. That's when he picked her up and he was lifting each leg up to put her up the stairs to go to the bedroom. And if you're a woman who's woken up around men and not known what happened to you, it's torture. He put, I'm looking at it right now. He put a fucking video camera. The photographer he is. He put a fucking video camera right next to the TV. She had no idea the entire time she was being filmed. I'm just watching it. I'm just watching her nodding out. I'm just watching him enjoy it and get a touch and a feeling. He's enjoying every second of it. Can you imagine what I would like to do right now? I don't know her and I love her. And I want her to know that he should be held responsible because he's free. I want him to go to prison for what he did to her. I saw it. And I feel like I know I'm the only person that saw it beside him. I just want to know if she's okay. And if she's, I mean, watching this fucking VHS. And it's his house. I've been in that fucking house for the last month. That's his house. So she's local. I wish I knew if she's around and if she's okay. Because the thing is about this shit, like, especially if you get and you don't know what happened, like, no, it's not especially, like, it's just if you get if you're getting present occurrence is horrible and it's traumatic, but it's also incredibly confusing. It's incredibly confusing, let alone if you're also to, like, reconcile or beginning to try to reconcile with it afterwards. Is a years and years long process where you might make decisions that are really hurtful towards your life and you don't. You're trying your best and I have to take the tape out to see if he wrote her first and last name. I have to know if she's okay. I have to know if she's still here. This shit will make you want to kill, dude. She looked like a half doll. She should deserve it. I just wonder, like, how did they meet? Did he want to do a fucking photo shoot for her? Was it a mutual friend? Did they meet at a bar? I want to know, like, did she agree to maybe just want to have fun and take a little bit of a am I watching a person who is completely without knowing? It's I know that this tape from under his fucking horde of bullshit. Just disgusting. Demon of a man. I know that this tape, as I was throwing these behind me, trying to find some evidence, on the bottom of the floor, on the bottom of the horde, I know that it fell into my hands for a reason. I feel like it's gonna take me a while to find out why. But this, if I've seen one tape, I have boxes. I have boxes in my fucking house. I have boxes in my house that are mislabeled like this one was mislabeled. How many men did he do this to? What the fuck do I do with that? I'm gonna be okay because it can't get worse from where I'm at. You know? Like this fell into my hands for a reason because I know I understand what that feels like. In a different way, I didn't get to see what happened to me. This woman, God, I love her and I don't know her.
I have only ever heard that kind of response in one other scenario in my life, and it's when I used to watch The First 48 before I realized what a dog shit show it was, and mothers would find out from the cops that their children were dead. That's about as close as I've gotten to hearing a reaction like this. And unfortunately, the internet's going to internet. Luckily, a vast majority of people were very supportive of Darby. They were telling her that she was very brave to post something like this. They were telling her how amazing she was to care about these women she'd never met and probably would never meet in her life. And that she would say things like, I don't even know her and I love her. Because it's just common human decency to not want to see another human being going through something like this. And then you'd have a couple lurking assholes in the crew who would try to say things like, oh, this is a really big cash cow, but you're going to stretch this on as long as you can because you're making so much money. Because yes, Darby did post live streams while she was in the Hoarder house. And other people, one of which I actually had a go at. I normally don't really have a go at people in other people's comment sections, but I couldn't help it this time. This guy actually went into the comments of that audio recording. And he said that if she can't handle horror and common themes in horror, then she shouldn't be on the internet and she should take a break from what she's doing because she's too sensitive. To which I popped for about 2 paragraphs or so and said, she's not watching the fucking Poughkeepsie tapes right now. She's watching a very harrowing VHS tape that is man recorded without this woman's knowledge of him assaulting her while she was drugged and unaware that it was even happening. Anyone with a fucking operational heart and conscience would have a similar reaction to Darby. Or at least I would hope so. I don't care if you think you're the strongest motherfucker on the planet. I don't care if you think you're made of stone. If you see something like that and you are not prepared to see that at the time, you're going to have a severe reaction to it. If not, you might want to talk to somebody about that because it's kind of abnormal. Now, I'm telling you about this video now, even though she actually released that video later in this timeline because technically speaking, this was the first event in this story, even though she released that video later on. So she finds the tape, she takes the audio recording, she decompresses for a minute, and of course you've got people cheaping up her comment section being like, did you go to the police? Yes, she did. Someone discussing something online because they think it's socially relevant or important to others does not automatically mean that they didn't speak to the proper authorities about this matter. She did. Not only did she talk to the police, she continued talking to them. You could catch them on her live streams at certain points or in her videos, actually. So there is proof she was talking with the police. She also got a detective involved because, unfortunately, this was not a one-off thing. She didn't find one VHS tape, go, oh, this is horrible, and that was the end of that. She found so many tapes and so many illicit photos of women in very compromising positions where you could see certain parts of their anatomy when they were too drugged and out of their minds to even realize what was going on, that Darby lost count of them. She lost count of how much evidence there was because of just the sheer number. As the days progressed on, some people did understand and some people were truly baffled by Darby's choice to continue returning to the Hoarder house. Now, I know it can be really difficult to understand why someone would find something so awful and choose to return to the house that it happened in, knowing you're going to find more evidence. But, couple of reasons. First reason, it's literally her job. She's a picker. She knows there's valuable stuff in there, and that is going to pay her bills. She's got to do what she's got to do. A lot of us have had to deal with really terrible bosses, really terrible coworkers, just bad jobs in general, but we sucked it up and we dealt with it because we needed to be paid at the time. We needed our bills paid, It's kind of how you stay alive in a capitalistic society. But the more important reason why Darby chose to continue going back to that awful house is because she wanted to be the voice of the victim. She was like, I am very aware of the fact that some of these women are probably going to be finding out about this crime for the first time when they are sat down with police. They're not going to be able to speak for themselves outside of saying that they're upset at what happened and they want justice for it. She's the one who saw it first.
The lead detective on this case used to be a you-know-what crimes detective, and then he switched to the one that starts with the H. And then after this case was brought to him, after I brought this first box, he went back to the first one I said. Does that make sense what I just said? And he's fantastic. I just want you to imagine what it would be like that something happened to you 15 to 20 years ago. Maybe you're a mother, maybe you have kids, some of them did, and then a cop shows up at your door and says, hey, is your name so-and-so? And they say, yeah. And they say, do you know so-and-so? And they may remember or they may not. And one of them, is it unfortunate or is it fortunate that they didn't remember at all? And they said, here's this video evidence of you. And it's wild that I've seen it.
So she wants to help these women in any way that she possibly can. And I find that very admirable because I don't think anyone would have, come at her if she had chosen to never go back again. If she'd said, this is in the police and detectives' hands now, I'm done, I'm washing my hands of it, I want nothing to do with this case anymore, I think most people would have very much understood that decision. But that's not the decision that she made. No, she decided that it was important enough to these victims that she return. And she actually found more interesting evidence. So she knew, like I said at the beginning of this video, that the mother had been deceased. She actually found some handwritten letters from the mother to her son while he was in prison.
For you weirdo freaks in my comments, who are all men, the ones that I've seen, just saying, I don't believe you, saying you need to show us proof, this is all BS. I hope you were talking about the letter and not the photos, because I would, aside from the fact that that video would be immediately taken down, I would never ever expose and do that to the victims. Like, that you're crazy and you're disgusting, and I don't see you as any better than this Hoarder house dude. However, I will read the letter to you. Okay, here it is. For reference, like if you didn't see the previous videos, this is a letter that the Hoarder house guy, his mother, sent to him when he just got booked into prison. Insert name. This was March 20th, 2002. Hi, baby. How are things going in there for you? When I first heard you were in there, I was hurt and trying to figure out how to get you out. But when I talked to you on the phone, it seemed as if you didn't care what happens to you. I want to get, insert another person's name, I'm assuming a lawyer, to get your case, but I need to know if you're going to do right if I spend my money to get you home. Insert his name. Your anger is a very serious problem that has to be released from you before you kill someone or someone kills you. I know you don't want to hear my preaching, but insert name. I'm only trying to tell you what I've lived. You know I killed someone, and I don't want to see history repeat itself. So, insert name, please baby, talk to me or someone, anyone, to get this anger out. Because anger leads to hatred, then hatred will lead to death. I'm just putting it together now with that last sentence that I read, that perhaps her murder was a little bit more premeditated, saying that your hatred will lead to death because she had hatred and she lived it. Okay. And you know you're the only son I have, and I don't want to lose you. And even if you're mad at me or feel like you hate me, and I'm all right with that as long as you're alive and I am well, always have time to mend any wounds. And then she says stuff like, I'll always love you, blah, blah, blah. Do you have any film that wants to be developed? I'll be writing again soon. Love you, Mom. There is also this piece of paper, something written, that's why, right here, which is why I'm covering it. I mentioned before that there's things written on the back of the photos, but I thought I would just read this to you. This is in his handwriting. There's two names at the top. I don't know what this is, but it was in the box. Would kick, female's name, spit in her face, push and punch her on, his handwriting is so bad. Would fuck her in the closet, in the something hallway, tell you, and then it goes on. I don't know if I can say this stuff on TikTok. I don't want this video taken down. It's just weird recordings and descriptions of schmexual violence.
If you guys thought the letter from the mother to her son in prison was bad enough already, it gets even weirder, because there was also apparently a letter from his sister that Darby managed to find while he was in prison. And it's weird. Listen, I understand when you're getting into the backgrounds of people who have committed heinous crimes. Generally speaking, there's some kind of abuse that happened at home that led them down the road they ended up going down. And maybe that's the case for this family that made them all so depraved and weird. But at the end of the day, regardless of what you went through, you have a choice. You can either choose to take the high road and become better than your abusers, better than how your family treated you when you were growing up, or you can choose to be just as depraved and disgusting as the rest of them. And I truly hope that the detectives and the police working on this case seek out his sister and question her, because the way she was talking about her brother, it does make me wonder if she was aware of what was going on. If not, there's still some weird shit going on between those two that needs to be looked into regardless.
I'm just going to read a part that stood out to me. Before you are typing in the comments, take it to the cops, take it to the cops. Please, y'all, if there's a series, can you watch the other... I'm sorry for my aggression. But please watch the other videos in the series. I'm reading this and then I'm on my way to the police station, in which it will no longer be in my possession. Okay? Alright, this part from his sister. My dear brother, last name, comma. I shall start by... I'm reading you the part that grossed me out. I think about us, and I mean us, in quotations, every night. And when you get out, I'm sincerely hopeful we can continue the same kind of relationship, winky face. Everybody's got skeletons in their closet, but not these kind of skeletons. Not this kind of fucking skeleton.
So Darby spends a couple of months going back to the house, grabbing old antiques, but also collecting as much evidence as she possibly can. And during this time, there are professional cleaners that are brought into the house because it is a hoarder house, and they know that there are people going in and out of it pretty regularly now. So they clean everything out to the best of their ability. She's able to tell them what stuff to put aside and what the detective is looking for right now, so they don't accidentally throw away the wrong thing. And luckily, it seems like no evidence was done away with. They did a number with cleaning that house. I was honestly very impressed when I saw the state of it, in the before and after, because I'd been watching since her first video. But they did find more evidence. They kept finding more and more. And at some point, the perp made himself known.
Okay, so he's not allowed to go to the house, but he has before. He broke in. Piece of work. It's lucky I wasn't there. But Billy saw him, and Nick saw him. Billy is the contractor, and Nick is the real estate investor who owns the house. I know, it's crazy. You guys, I wish that I could tell you. I've just slightly mentioned that before in one of my videos, so I'm fine saying it, but I will come out and tell you all about things that have happened, and also, perhaps he was looking for something at the house. What's funny is I think I said this one time before, maybe in a live, is that we have found over $50,000 in savings bonds, in treasury bonds and savings bonds. When he showed up to that house, do you think he was looking for the savings bonds? Or any of his memorabilia, Muhammad Ali signed, anything of value? No. Do y'all know what the only thing that he asked about was photos. Certain filing cabinets of photos, negatives. That's all he wanted.
Yeah. He made himself known. He came to the house. He tried to find photos. He had some valuable shit in that house that he could have honestly cared more about. But no, he wanted his disgusting, perverse photos that he'd taken. That's all he cared about. And then, hilariously, something I absolutely love Darby for is he was like, oh, don't break any of the furniture. So she takes like a fucking sledgehammer to all of it, because fuck that guy. You don't get any good things in this life after the things that you put those innocent women through. Then we come to present day after a couple months worth of Darby going through some of the worst hell you can as an outsider looking into this kind of case. Because remember, she is not a detective. She does not work for the FBI. She is not a cop. She was not mentally or physically equipped to find the things she found in that house. And that's something I wish a lot more people understood, because not many, but too many people are coming down really hard on her in her live streams and in her video comments, talking about, like, you're just doing this for money, or you're just doing it for this reason and that reason that we're assuming about you, or you just care about picking more. And it's like, no, guys, she's made it abundantly clear that her top priority is getting justice for these innocent victims of these crimes. That is all she cares about. Even if she didn't find a single thing worth picking, I believe, truly, after watching her live streams and her videos, that she would have continued to go back to that house anyway. And yes, for anyone worried, a lot of people who have worked in law enforcement or the FBI or anything like that have been in her comments saying, Darby, I understand you may just be on an adrenaline kick right now. You may just be thinking of the victims, so you're not considering your own mental state. You may feel fine right now, but please get some mental health help, because when we in the FBI, and I can attest to this, I've had friends in the FBI, this is true, when they find a particularly heinous crime scene, something with like children involved, a family homicide, strong sexual abuse of multiple victims, they are put on mandatory leave. And during that leave, they are put on mandatory therapy. You don't get to say no. You don't get to say, oh, but I'm fine, so it doesn't matter. They don't care. They're putting you on leave and therapy anyway. And they were like, we really suggest you get some mental health help, because at some point when all this is over, it's gonna sink in what you just witnessed. And I don't know this for sure. I believe there's a strong chance she's going to have to stand up in court and face this guy at some point, because they are going to need as many witnesses as possible. The women will be able to take the stand, like I said, and they'll be able to talk about what this has done to them mentally after finding out. But at the end of the day, most of them were really drugged. One of them even said that she had no idea this happened to her until the cops showed her the tape. I can't begin to imagine the kind of hell you would be in. Just thinking you've had a normal life, having cops bring you in and show you a tape of yourself in that situation when you had no idea it happened to you. Can't imagine it. I don't know. I think about that woman every fucking day since I thought a video. It's hard not to. It's hard not to think about the victims when they went through something like that, and one of them didn't even realize it happened until she saw the evidence. So they can discuss mentally how they're feeling now, but they can't really discuss details of what happened those nights because they were drugged and out of their minds. Darby's the one who went to the house. She's the one who found the letters from the mother. Darby's the one who found the evidence, the tapes, the photos. Endless boxes of evidence. Darby's the one who got a detective involved. Darby's the one who called the police to the house multiple times. Darby's friends were the ones who had this guy show up at the door unannounced when they were not prepared to see a man like this. And because Darby was a brave enough badass bitch to continue going back to that house of horrors, collecting evidence and trying to get justice for the women who went through this, we have fucking justice.
I know I've said this several times, but I have to reiterate. Please respect the due process of this case. This is far from over. He's been arrested, but this is really just the beginning. I want you to respect the victims. That means not trying to find them, not trying to figure out who they are, looking them up, contacting them, trying to find the house. Do not do that. I appreciate your support and watching the videos, but if you're to do anything beyond that, that's disrespecting the case.
4 felony counts of CSAM, 4 counts of disseminating photo/film of CSAM acts, 2 counts of photographing/videotaping/depicting on computer CSAM, 1 felony count of burglary, which was him breaking the lock, we'll get to that. 1 misdemeanor count of selling obscene material, 1 misdemeanor count of invasion of privacy, so far.
For as happy as I am about the fact that justice is finally being served after decades of some of these women being forced to live with the trauma that this monster inflicted on them, there is something that continues to come to my mind as I go back through Darby's entire Hoarder House playlist on her TikTok, in order to make and edit my own video. And that is the comment sections on her videos. There is a striking commonality between all the videos and even her live streams, if you've ever caught one of her live streams, and that is the fact that a vast majority of women watching her content are telling her things like, "You are an angel on earth, I love you so much, I can't wait to see this man go to jail and these women get justice. You're such a sweetheart." They're saying they're telling her ways that she can keep herself safe in case he or potentially any friends or family members who were in on this and knew what he was doing, want to cover for him, happen to find her. Basically, it's a combination of them thinking she is a beautiful soul and trying to make sure she remains safe. Then you have the very few men. There's not many men in her comment sections to begin with. And some of the few that there are have been saying the most outrageous shit. Things like only caring about the way that Darby looks, telling her how beautiful she is, trying to speculate what her relationship with Billy is, even though people are like, bro, read the room. That's not what we should be here for right now. Saying things like that they think she's only doing this for attention and likes and views, when in fact this is one of the only times in recent history I have seen someone making true crime content for the right reasons. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I usually hate true crime content because 9 times out of 10 it's old hat. It's a story that has already been told, justice was already served. There's really no reason to dredge it up, especially without the family's consent and the consent of the victims, unless you're trying to just get views, clicks, likes, shares, money. In Darby's case, it still is an ongoing investigation right now. This is not over yet. As she said, far from it. And she did this with the express intent of getting justice for these women who were hurt by this fucking beast of a man. And she said something similar to what I'm about to say earlier on in my video, and I absolutely mean it with my whole heart when I say this. These kinds of words do not come to me lightly. But just like she said in her audio message to herself that she doesn't know the woman she saw in the video, but she loves her, I've never met Darby before. I've never spoken to her online, but I love her with my whole heart and my whole soul for the kind of person she is and what she's done for these women, and I will do anything in my power to share her story and to help her in any way that I can with what little platform I have. Now, from what I can see, Darby does have social media outside of TikTok, but she predominantly does things like Instagram, and it's just lifestyle content and photos. She doesn't discuss this story anywhere other than TikTok. So, because not everyone is on TikTok for understandable reasons, I'm going to continue to try to update you guys as this case develops, because it's very important. I think it needs to be shared on multiple platforms because, as I just said, not everyone's on TikTok. Not everyone is going to know who lives in Harrisburg that a man like this was just walking around in their town willy-nilly like nothing was wrong. And if it turns out they ever find more victims than the ones they have so far, I want people to be able to support those victims if they decide to come forward at some point. And as Darby mentioned in that last video, news outlets are trying their best, but they're not really explaining the story in the best way. They're not getting the information in chronological order. It's very new and fresh for them, but Darby is the source, guys. She's the best source of information on everything going down with this story. So I'm going to continue to follow her journey and everything that is happening with it. Because again, just like Darby, I want justice for these victims. And I want people in Pennsylvania to understand that we had a monster walking among us for a very long time. Because those tapes span back years and years and decades. From when he was like 35, I think he's in like his 70s now. 60s or 70s. And nobody knew this kind of monster was amongst them. I also want to share this information since it's very current and he only just got booked, because if you recognize this man's picture, if you know who he is, if you know where he lived, if you know anything personal about him, this is a time to speak up and come forward, because he's been booked. He can't do anything to you now. I want you to reach out to Darby, to Harrisburg law enforcement, to the detective on the case right now, and I want you to tell them everything you know about this man. If you think it's mundane, it probably isn't, because, I mean, she thought everything in the house was mundane until it turned out that it wasn't. Tell them anything you know about him. Tell them what you know of him as a person. If you know that he told a story and then said, oh, just kidding, about taking some women home. If you saw what the women looked like going into his house, literally anything that could help speed this case along so these women are a step closer to justice, please have the courage like Darby. Follow her example and tell somebody what you know, because the sooner this can go to court and be dealt with, the sooner these women have at least a tiny scrap of peace of mind for the rest of their life. They're going to have to carry this forever no matter what. There's nothing that can be said or done by any judge or court that will make it so this just goes away. These women are going to be haunted for eternity by this. But at least, if all goes well with the court system and enough evidence is brought forward, which it sounds like it very much has, they'll know they're finally safe for the first time in decades. And that's all I want for these women after what they had to experience. Please support Darby in any way you can, even if you just follow her Instagram or some account that has nothing to do with this story, because, you know, anything we can do to help her with her day-to-day life when she's doing stuff like this, I want to go ahead and do that. Because once again, I've never been more fucking proud to be a Pennsylvanian. And this girl is a fucking hero to the state of Pennsylvania after what she's chosen to do with her platform and her life moving forward. As of right now, this is all the information I have on this case. Do something that makes you happy today, so long as you're hurting no one else in the process, and I will see all of you again in the next one. Goodbye for now.